So I'm not gonna lie, after yesterday's stream of Arc Raiders and the video went out on the channel, I was shooketh because I did not expect that game to be so good. But what it left me thinking is Marathon might be screwed. So I actually have a double header here of videos discussing exactly that. Two people who I thought would bring opposite side of things. We have Luke Stevens and we have Aztecross. I think I said that right. He's one of the Destiny YouTubers, streamers. So I think he'll give more of the Bungie side of things, whereas Luke Stevens will kind of give more of like the details of the overall picture. They're both relatively short, under 10 minutes. So we'll be able to get through these, but I thought it was an interesting way to do it. So let's start out with Luke Stevens. His video title is, "Could Arc Raiders Take Out Marathon at Launch?"
We've talked a lot about Marathon. Marathon is kind of like the topic of debate right now, whether it's successful, whether they should delay it, whether...
By the way, that's my current opinion. They either need to... I think they either need to not launch it or delay it indefinitely. Like, rethink way a lot of the things work in that they're doing in that game.
There's a huge scandal whether Sony is intentionally, you know, cratering the game.
I don't think that's true.
All that stuff is fun to talk about. It's a good time. But there's another game that seems to be coming out at a similar time that is going to compete directly with it in the extraction shooter genre. And they just dropped this. Let's see.
So this is the game we played yesterday.
Just so you know, Embark, same studio that made the Finals, and the
Great
Finals
game.
is that kind of competition or competitive shooter that has fully destructible environments and stuff where like you can collapse entire buildings on top of teams while pushing objectives and stuff. It's really cool. So Embark is a very capable team. I think they're former Battlefield devs.
Ex-Battlefield is.
But I brought something for you.
Where'd you find all these things?
You're in there, you know.
Did you run into Ark?
I did, and I watch out
Raiders.
for them, but they're the least of my problems.
Oops.
We'll actually skip through this. 'Cause we've experienced the game already.
Fourth.
Tech test. So the 30th to May 4th, what I thought was fascinating because it's right during the Marathon alpha or beta or pre-alpha or closed alpha.
Oh, baby. Wowza canowza. So if you're interested, you can sign up. I think it looks solidly enough.
Also, I believe a lot more people got into the tech test, which, by the way, not alpha, not beta, tech test for Arc Raiders than got into Marathon for some reason.
The games, I think it's so crucial to get feedback early and often. Early and often. Do play tests, get feedback on gunplay, get feedback on the aesthetic, the UI, the loadouts, the builds, everything. Like, you get that feedback, you deal with it, you fix it, you improve it before you launch.
And that's what they're both doing.
Easy money. Apparently that's kind of scandalous to say now. But this is going to be head to head. They've already said that they're going to have like an alpha or a proximity chat thing. Have they said? I think they've said it's free. Have they said if it's free to play?
See, this is the one thing that I don't know, and I think it's incredibly, incredibly important. They have not dropped a price point, I don't think, for either game. Now, I've heard $40 for both. I don't know whether that's true. And if that is the case, I will not buy Marathon, and I will certainly buy Arc Raiders, but we'll come back to that in a bit.
I don't actually know. Does anybody know? Maybe not. Hold on. Let's see. Executive producer on Arc Raiders. We announced this, blah, blah, blah. Let's get into it. First thing, launch 2025 on Steam, non-cloud streaming, GeForce Now. Okay, opportunities for experience. We're making an important change to our business model. You may recall Arc Raiders was announced as a free-to-play game. Today, we announced that Arc Raiders will be released as a $40 premium.
There you go. So there it is. Now, I think that they're making that decision for two reasons. Number one, the battle passes are free. You can just earn the currency in game and get the battle passes completely for free. Awesome. That limits microtransactions. And two, cheaters. It's harder to get into a game and cheat when you have to pay to get into it. Marathon's kind of said the same thing. But here's the difference. I would pay $40 for Arc. I would not pay $40 for Marathon. I'm assuming we'll talk more about the gameplay coming up, but I will discuss why in a minute.
There are many reasons for this change, but they all...
Which is actually crazy because I'm a first-person shooter person through and through, and Arc is third, Marathon's first, so...
Boil down to our conviction that a premium business model is a better fit for the type of game we're building. A premium model allows us to create a more focused, balanced, and engaging action survival experience. Okay. So they're going to be going likely head-to-head at 40 against Marathon at 40 is my guess. They haven't confirmed the price for Marathon, but I'm guessing 40. And that's a big I'm very interested to see how this plays out. They're going head to head. Granted, one is like third person, one is first person. But I also think with extraction shooters specifically, the reason that they feel justified in doing this is because there is
cheaters.
There's a problem with rage quitting in games like these that they don't want to deal with. And it's basically just that when you have a game that has a lot of really high highs and low lows emotionally, if it's free.
Yeah, the one thing that I will say is we're gonna stream more Arc Raiders. I need a day to do it. I think it'll be Friday and maybe even Saturday. But that game, when you specifically playing solos, which by the way you can't do in Marathon, but literally in Arc Raiders you just queue in as a solo. It puts you with solo people. Can you imagine that? But solo, there is problems with solo, like taking down some of the mechs is way harder, and I think they'll probably address that. But anyway, playing solo is stressful, man. It is. If someone sees you and you don't see them, you are in trouble.
You get the people that immediately force close, alt F4 the game, shut it down, rage quit, and move on. It's like a major problem, I think. But if somebody paid $40 for it, they're less likely to do that. And they're more likely to play 2, 3, 4 rounds before they get into it. But I think with something like this, all they have to do big open betas. That helps.
What the heck is that?
Tech tests help. And I think also even like a demo, you get like an hour access.
See, the one thing that Arc Raiders did incredibly well is they planned out their experience for people to fail. Because even when I was early on and I was failing, you have your chicken that brings you enough parts to build a weapon, build some ammo, and build some healing materials. And you can go in raid after raid after raid with minimal gear, even if you're losing over and over and over again, which at first I think it took me 3 games to actually get a player kill. But in that 3rd game, I got 3 and then I died. And then that 4th game in, I got 2 and then I extracted. So it's the learning curve, but also if I fail, there's a fail safe. And the fail safe in Arc feels way more thought out than the fail safes in Marathon.
Or 2-hour access.
I am also wondering if there's anyone that is just hard disagreeing with me right now. Please tell me down in the comments, like please, because I would love to hear. Like if you think you would prefer to play $40 for Marathon, why? The only reason I can think of is because Bungie has a good track record. That's it.
And give people the opportunity to try it before they put the money up. I think that's the key. They expected Marathon to be like that Battlefield 4 reveal where people went crazy for it, but it ended up just being
a huge
just over
flop.
Concord level of interest. I mean, I think the difficulty is when they started working on these, extraction shooters were very, very rare. So there was a lot of hope that, they could stand out.
Let me find something for you.
The extraction shooter. But what's happening now is that all of these extraction shooters are coming out at the exact same time, or pretty close to it. Just today, we looked at Hunger, which is the new extraction shooter from
another
the team
one
that made Hell Let Loose. Arc Raiders, which is from the Finals devs. Marathon, which is coming from Bungie. And these are all extraction shooters.
We have on TWR on the weekly reload, link down in the description. It's always down there. We have a YouTube short coming out, breaking all of that down, all of those extraction shooters, in one, I think it's 2-minute long short. I think it's really, really good. Slick's working on it. So check that out.
And I guarantee you, in the next 18 months, 2 years, you're going to hear about a lot more extraction shooters. This is just the new trend.
We even have DMZ too,
and it's
right?
already getting kind of tiresome. And they're really, again, I think that extraction shooters are just more of a niche than a lot of these publishers think they are. And there's only so many extraction shooter players. I think that's the problem. There's only so many. And I don't think people who are really into Marvel Rivals are going to just magically connect with an extraction shooter. Now, it's going to come down to which games are best, which games have the features players want, the better loot, the better post-launch support. It's going to come down to that.
Best way I can
stuff.
do this.
They'll probably all have pretty solid gunplay. They'll graphically look pretty good, have their own art styles and that type of thing. So that stuff won't matter as much. But I think...
Okay, so this is kind of a shitty way to look at this. But Arc Raiders on Twitch right now has about 30,000 viewers. I think it peaked around 100,000 yesterday. If we look at Marathon, and needless to say, Marathon has been out for longer. We have 21,000 followers. Okay, maybe this is a good example. 789 viewers. The Marathon beta is still live. Oh my God. I did not think it was going to be that low when it's already killed it. I have so much more to talk about with this, but oh my, I was trying to look up Steam charts while he was talking there. And oh my God.
Well,
okay, we're going to come back to that, but
they'll get the fundamentals down. All these devs are talented and they know what they're doing there. But it's going to come down to which game has staying power, and that is defined by post-launch support.
Yes, that is
progression,
true.
That type of thing. But I think Arc Raiders does seem to have a lot of potential. And I think that the trailers I've seen for Arc Raiders seem to present a lot more content and dynamism and dynamics than I've seen for like Marathon. Marathon, I've played that game at this point
enough,
probably around 25 to 30 hours across.
He's played more than me.
The studio playtest.
Oh, right, you went to the studio
with access to the alpha. And after 25, 30 hours, I kind of feel like I've seen everything the game has to offer. Like, I haven't gotten a bunch.
Keep in mind, at launch, Marathon is getting one more map. I think 2 more people, operators to play as. But yeah, I completely agree.
The legendary stuff. And even if I did, I don't think I would bring it into matches because I'm scared of losing it. So
it's another good point.
I'll just keep it and hoard it, you know? So I feel like I already have seen everything that game has to offer, and it's not even out yet. That's the problem. With Arc Raiders, it seems like there's a lot more dynamics with like the bots and the androids. You see these gigantic mechs that come and attack you. These arcs. That seems interesting. The verticality with the grapple hooks and stuff, that seems interesting. So there seems to be a lot more going on in Arc Raiders, it seems.
And I think, needless to say, more people are clicking with the art style of Arc Raiders because it's just like a little bit more realistic, a little less cell shaded. Now, this one's going to this is going to be interesting because this is, I can always butcher his name and I always feel bad about it. Aztecross, maybe. He's a Destiny YouTuber, so I'm very curious what he has to say.
Trailer real quick. Hold on. All right, guys. Arc Raiders just dropped their trailer right
Is he watching it? Okay.
We're actually going to be streaming it this. All right, so if you're wondering who Embark Studios are, The Finals is another game they made.
This is the same video.
The things you heard about like Marathon's gonna have, like we've heard of like raid-like mechanics, right? You know, are there gonna be things that are gonna make the world evolve? They say that there's gonna be some evolving that occurs season to season. And then you've heard of things like bosses, potential bosses. Could we perhaps get a map down the road inside of Marathon where we...
That's really the only thing that I could see differ between the two, but we already know, like even yesterday, streaming for the first time, there was a boss, a big arc thing that I ran into where I'm like, staying away from that. It's...
Have a boss. Well, at least at the time of the alpha here, guys, we haven't run up against anything like that, right? It's very much an extraction shooter through and through. What I can tell you from my time playing Arc Raiders is that it's got those things. And that to me is what makes Arc Raiders pretty intriguing. I don't know if it's going to be for everyone, and I definitely don't like the fact that it's like, because again, originally when we first saw this game, we thought it was going to be a PvE game. I don't really like the fact that it's just another extraction shooter, but it is doing something differently in this aspect by having such a heavy emphasis on its PvE side of things. I think the things that are going to really rub people wrong, or at least not rub people wrong, but that's going to be an acquired taste, is that it is a third-person shooter. And
yes,
you know, it kind of reminds me of like, you know, when the Division and Destiny were, you know, going head-to-head, right?
So yes, actually that's a very interesting take. So when I was streaming yesterday, the amount of people who were saying this looks like the Division, this looks like the Division, this looks like the Dark Zone in the Division, this looks like the Division, very, very high. And I got it the more that I played, but I never thought of the Destiny versus the Division thing, because Destiny being Marathon, the Division being Arc Raiders.
First-person shooter. A lot of people play Destiny because they prefer first-person shooter or the sci-fi elements. And then you had the Division, which was a third-person cover-based shooter. Still a looter shooter, of course. If I recall correctly, this was a PvE game that was pivoted into extraction. We speculated that it was a PvE game. The devs stated this was always the direction they wanted to go, but I don't know. We thought it was going to be a PvE-only game.
I don't think it was. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of emphasis on PvP. I get in way more PvP gunfights than a game that was designed for PvE.
So
I don't.
Who knows?
I don't know if I
maybe
agree
it was,
with that.
Maybe it wasn't. What I'm asking you guys, do you think? And man, dude, it's not even just Arc Raiders. Marathon's got so much competition from so many different angles, right? From the
And again, I think Arc Raiders is in a good position with this because there's less competition in the third person part of things, right? It separates itself there too. But I think more than anything is, this is what I've been talking with Jordan about, is Escape from Tarkov. At this point, everyone that plays that game hates it. I don't know why. I haven't played that game, but from what I see and what I hear, everyone is looking for like the next big extraction shooter. And for elements that they need things like the workbench, which Arc Raiders has. They need things like the skill tree, which Raiders has. It needs things like an out-of-game economy. It has that. Now, Marathon has all of those as well, but I don't think it does it as well. I don't think it does the missions as well. I don't think it does the aesthetics as well. The only thing Marathon does way better is first-person shooter gunplay. And don't get me wrong, it does that really, really well, but I don't think that's enough for this genre. I think it was for a looter shooter because it had the best mechanics in a looter shooter, but just having the best gunplay in an extraction shooter doesn't seem to be what makes
pretty
it.
established extraction shooters. But let's just say, all right, these two games, if they go head to head, because it is interesting that the playtest we're going to be playing this Wednesday happens to coincide with the alpha that's happening with Marathon.
That's on purpose.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a release that's potentially within that same time frame, maybe that September time frame here. Are any of you interested in this? Not my cup of tea. You saying Arc Raiders not your cup of tea? I guess it's going to come down to just like gameplay and stuff, and we'll be playing it this Wednesday, and we'll also be talking about our review of it. Yes, maybe.
Does he have a review of it?
No,
Yeah.
I don't like no third-person shooters. Yeah.
See, that's what a lot of people are going to
Destiny
say.
players kind of fall off there, guys. I Destiny players, every time I like bring up like a shooter to Kujave, especially,
Doesn't have
Kujav's
one out
like,
yet.
if it ain't first person, I don't want it. But here's the thing, man. If I had that mentality of like, if it's a third person, I don't want it, we would have missed out on bangers like Remnant and
So I'm not going to lie. I had the same thought. When I first saw the gameplay, I was like, third person, don't want it. Then I played it and I'm like, this is what Destiny should be. If you took Arc Raiders and made it a first person shooter with Destiny, or for that matter, Marathon gunplay, but with the aesthetic and the world of Arc, oh my god, and like the out of game economy, like literally everything's
what I
better
mean?
in Arc, but the
you're
gunplay.
talking about some fantastic third-person shooters, and so if this game can nail that.
Also,
and
I bet you a lot of those people who have said that since this came out are now like, yeah, I'm playing Arc
it
Raiders.
really is a surprise that they made this one a third-person shooter. The finals was first-person. Yeah,
True.
you got like Warframe, Gears. Oh my God, what was the game we played? Warhammer, Helldivers as well. So again,
There's
just
definitely
because
some
it's not
inspiration from
first-person, guys,
Helldivers.
I'm just saying, don't count it out. You know what I mean? Like it really comes down to, what is it that makes this extraction shooter more unique than what's currently on the market, and more unique than Marathon that is going to be competing against. This isn't as sci-fi as Marathon, right? But it's got a lot more realism.
2180 is the year, and it's like future, but it also feels like in the past, kind of like Fallout does.
It's bold. It's bold. That's all I can say about Arc Raiders, guys, is that the direction they're taking, especially PvE combat, it's bold. And Luke's played more Arc Raiders than I've played. He says that he enjoys it more than Marathon, but
I have not heard a single person that has played both that likes Marathon better. Now, clearly, I'm going to jump out of this because it appears as though both of these videos were made before either of them played it. So maybe we'll do another video like this when both the playtest and the alpha are done. If you enjoy this type of video, hit the like button. But just my opinions on it. The suspense in Arc Raiders, because there is a solo queue, is amazing. It is stressful to play. It's the same feeling I got when I played DMZ solo. Now, the problem is I was good enough to play DMZ solo. There wasn't a solo queue in that. If there was, holy crap. Call of Duty, if you're working on DMZ 2, make sure that there is a solo queue. You need to do that. I think it's a necessity. I've always said this. If a game is not playable solo, it will not be as successful as it is otherwise. When Warzone launched and they didn't have solos, huge problem. one of the biggest things that Fortnite had as a battle royale over other games is their solo queue worked, because even though the time to kill was pretty fast, you could build and play solo against other teams, and those good players would rise to the top. You need to be able to play a game solo. So it has that. It has a better out of game economy. It has a better aesthetic. It has worse weapon play. That is one thing Marathon has going for it. And unless Marathon, from the beginning, people were like, where's the it factor? And I think the it factor with Raiders is, one, fighting against the robots, and number two, really good out of game economy and aesthetics, period. And if they launch at the same time, I mean, just look at the Twitch numbers. And yes, Arc just came out yesterday. But if they come out at the same time, Marathon's screwed. I think Marathon is going to get delayed or something. There's something off about that. After knowing the amount of people that work at Bungie, after seeing Expedition 33 and how good that game is, we're going to have some videos coming out about that. It leaves me just questioning, like, what the heck happened with Marathon? There's not enough content in that. There's not enough gameplay experience. It just, and I know that some of the dev studio is still working on Destiny, but it seems like they started working on this, wanted it to come out, and then just kind of like half gave up. I don't know. Marathon's a weird one, but I truly believe that Arc Raiders is going to bury it. And if you've played both, you are the people I want to hear from. And if you liked Marathon more than Raiders, I want to know why. And I'm guessing if you did, it's probably first person versus third person. But I don't know. Interesting times. Great times if you're an extraction shooter fan. Let's just say that.